Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is February 11th, 2023. We are in the Old Testament and we are in the book of Genesis, and we are going to read chapter 38 today. All right. So, our narrative is shifting to the children of Israel. Our main star for this next section is going to be Joseph, but we had Joseph presented as kind of a flawed person. He wasn't quite as humble as God would like his servants to be. He ends up, at this point in the story, he's been sold off into slavery. We saw Israel's first son, Reuben. Now, traditionally, that would be where the secession was going to come in. He would be the heir apparent, but we find out that Reuben's pretty flawed too. The other main character that comes out of this is Judah. That's where the emphasis is going to shift to eventually when we get to it, but we're seeing that Judah is also a very flawed person. In fact, it was his idea to sell Joseph, his brother, as a slave, and then go tell Dad, oh no, he died. And even when Israel is broken up and in deep despair, Judah maintains that secret that hey, you know what, he's really alive, we didn't kill him. We're going to get another glimpse of Judah here. He has three children. His first son marries a woman, Tamar. Apparently he follows in his father's footsteps towards the evil side, doesn't do a lot of good, and God ends up punishing him and killing him, but Tamar is left childless. Now we get this idea of a kinsman redeemer that plays quite a big point in the rest of this narrative called the Bible. His second son is supposed to go into Tamar, and since there was no child left for his first son, there's no heir, so he's supposed to have a son by his brother's wife. That becomes the heir of his older brother. Then everything else after that is his. But Onan says, I'm not going to do that, because if I have a child, then everything becomes his, and I don't get anything. I got to build my own legacy after that. I kind of like just inheriting it. That's evil. That's wrong. He dies. Judah has a third son. Now he says, you know what? Now he's kind of young right now. He can't marry you, but when he's of marrying age, he will come and he will fulfill that kinsman redeemer role for you. But Judah forgets. Doesn't take care of it. At some point, Tamar finds out that he's gone off after Judah's wife dies, that he's now gone off to shear his sheep, and she hatches a plot. She says, you know what, I'm going to dress like a prostitute and be in the way, and when he comes into me, I'm going to get some things from him so I can prove that he's the one that came into me, and he's going to give me that child that he's neglected to give me by giving me his third child, like he's supposed to. When she becomes pregnant, Judah finds out, and he's like, oh, she's a slut. She slept with somebody. She shouldn't have done that. And he calls to have her come and brought to him so he can put her to death. And she says, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then you need to find the person that gave me these, because that's the father of this child that I have. And Judah realizes, oh, it's me, and yes, I screwed up, because I should have gave you my third son, but I didn't. You were owed a child. You have children. Doesn't have anything to do with her after that, but that continues the Judah line that we're going to be interested in as we read more in this Bible. So let's go ahead and we're going to read Genesis chapter 38. It came to pass at that time that Judah departed from his brothers and visited a certain Adullamite whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he married her and went into her. So she conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Er. She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. And she conceived yet again and bore a son, and called his name Shelah. He was at Chesloh when she bore him. Then Judah took a wife for Er his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Er, Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And Judah said to Onan, go in to your brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up a heir for your brother. But Onan knew that the heir would not be his, and it came to pass, when he went in to his brother's wife, that he mitted on the ground, lest he should give a heir to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, therefore he killed him also. Then Judah said to Tamar his daughter-in-law, remain a widow in your father's house till my son Shelah is grown. For he said, lest he also die like his brothers. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. Now in the process of time the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up to his sheep shearers at Timnah, he and his friend Hira the Edomite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. So she took off her widow's garments, covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place which was on the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned to her by the way and said, Please let me come in to you, for he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. So she said, Well, what will you give me that you may come into me? And he said, I will send a young goat from the flock. So she said, Will you give me a pledge till you send it? Then he said, What pledge shall I give you? So she said, Your signet and cord and your staff that is in your hand. And he gave them to her and went into her, and she conceived by him. So she arose and went away, and laid beside her veil, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the young goat by the hand of his friend the Edomite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he did not find her. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot who was openly by the roadside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. So he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. Also the men of the place said, There was no harlot in this place. Then Judah said, Let her take them for herself, lest we be shamed. For I sent this young goat, and you have not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that Judah was told, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has played the harlot. Furthermore, she is with child by harlotry. So Judah said, Bring her out, and let her be burned. When she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man to whom these belong, I am with child. And she said, Please determine whose these are, the signet and cord and staff. So Judah acknowledged them and said, She has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah my son, and he never knew her again. Now it came to pass at the time of giving birth that, behold, twins were in her womb. And so it was, when she was giving birth, that the one put out his hand. And the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his, saying, This one came out first. Then this happened, as he drew back his hand, that his brother came out unexpectedly. And she said, How did you break through? This breach be upon you. Therefore his name was called Perez. Afterward his brother came out, who had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah. May God bless the reading of his word, and may God bless you. Bye.